We're back. That's what we are. We're back. It is Game 3. Decider time. Elimination in store for one of these two teams. Empire or Odium. One of them moves on. One of them saying goodbye. It's online tournament, but $50,000 up for grabs. And, you know, it's, I think, always good experience to just play all these tournaments when you're one of those teams on the cusp of making it to events.
Yeah.
Look at Alliance, like what they've done. They just grinded their way. They were playing Join Dota League. If you're playing Join Dota League, you're not in a good place as a team, but it's a good way to get into a good place.
If you're involved with Join Dota in the last 2 years, you probably haven't made it in the Dota scene.
Oh, I was going to say go that far. I'm glad you did. I love
I just feel bad now.
Right.
I just feel bad.
Join's doing some good ESL coverage. They're having fun of that. Definitely hats off to them for that.
I actually really appreciate what they do. I feel like that is something that is really unique and cool that a LAN center will, or a LAN event, will bring in people for their qualifiers to an actual studios to be able to cover it and give it the full storyline that it deserves.
And I think it's cool what Join Dota doing with some of the talent they're bringing in that are newcomers who are kind of on the cusp of going to some LAN events.
Yeah, I didn't mean anything to do with commentators,
no,
by the way.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Well, I wasn't even implying that, but I'll let you clear that up. It's cool because these are people, it's so different and so much nicer and better casting in person than it is.
Yeah.
You know, sitting at home in your bedroom after doing that for 6 months, a year, longer, can be a bit demoralizing. Getting a chance just to go to a studio and work with cool people like Join Dota can be
and
nice.
It makes what it does is it makes the well, if you ignore platform wise, like it makes the qualifier unique, right? Because we have so many tournaments and oftentimes they're just a bunch of online qualifiers and they all just kind of blend together and no one really pays that much attention to like the difference in the tournaments at all. That it does make the coverage unique in that way.
Yep. Anyways,
Axe against Weaver. That is a solid pickup, but maybe they're countering a support Weaver.
Ooh,
who knows?
That's true. We saw say you're playing it already. Tusk picked up though, so probably not.
No, but
Poor
now
Tusk.
you're still countered because the Tusk will blink snowball save the Weaver.
Yeah, anyone who gets gold. Oh yeah, of course. You guys are hearing some of these picks before from us before actually seeing them, but we'll be on the same page once we get ourselves in a game. So,
or maybe it's going to be a blink time lapse Weaver. You don't know.
Or a blade mail Weaver.
Or a blade mail Weaver. Watch out.
It
does no damage, so it can't hurt itself against blade mail.
Yeah.
Genius.
Who was that? It was Empire who did that, right?
No, it's Jonas and Fun.
Oh, it's Jonas. Yeah,
On,
right, TFT.
TFT.
Yeah, they lost again. Okay.
I always remember when I really make fun of someone's build, so I can tell them about it later in person. That way they know I'm just not just making fun of them behind their backs.
Yeah.
I want them to know that I thought that build. I'll make fun of Yoda some fun when I see him at LAN.
Yeah.
And I'm a commentator and he's a player and he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of winning Dota. And I'll tell him that build was garbage.
Remember that time you went Blade Mail Weaver and fed?
Yeah, feel good about yourself, huh? Making all that money? Well, feel bad for this. Animage.
We get
Animage.
to see it.
Animage? Animage against an Axe?
I would say Axe is a counter. Typically considered a counter. I remember when AM was a top meta pub hero getting picked every third game or something, people would just, well, like, I'm going to go Axe. If not Bloodseeker or something like Axe, as far as offliners go. You do burn the Axe's mana, but it's just the blink call with the blade mail, setting up for kills on him, or even just being able to solo kill him often. But there's a snowball save. I imagine we'll even see Tusking a potential Yule Scepter or something as well.
Do you ban the Magnus just in case? Like, just in case it's like a mid, I don't know, Animage or mid Magnus or something?
Sure. I don't think it'd be a wasted ban by any means. It's just something that empowers the anti-mage literally and figuratively, and I think it would make life difficult.
TA is already banned, right? So one of the hardest counters to the Lina mid matchup is gone. Also, we don't know if this Lina is going to be a core. It could be support. Lina or something.
And we could even see things like a Lich anti-mage dual lane mid. You put Weaver in the safe lane. Then Magnus can go to that off lane. So I think there's ways to lane it that a Magnus can make sense, and you still have pretty happy heroes as far as their laning assignments go. Do Weaver mid with the Lich even. They're going to ban Necro. I guess he's a Yule Scepter buyer who, isn't too afraid of an axe. They have Pugna, though, so that seems a bit odd. I guess we're looking at a support Pugna, so it's not quite the same as far as countering a Necro goes. And Odium are looking for that last pick hard carry. No PL, so like the TBs of the world, the Morphlings. Maybe even a Morphling of their own here, even. That doesn't sound all too bad. Otherwise, what do you want against Nest?
Spectre's still out there. What other?
Yeah. The Spec versus AM, it just feels like you're picking a carry that plays slowly into an anti-mage who wants that slow start, and then he's going to out-farm you with Battle Fury. I've never
Void.
loved it. Okay, there you go. That's a more direct counter to the AM and Weaver, actually.
Yeah, it sets up your Lina and Pugna as well. The only hero that doesn't have synergy with you is Axe. That's fine.
Yeah. And you can't really snowball anyone in the Chronosphere unless they're perfectly placed on the outside for Tusk.
This is the North America and me speaking. Koriki.
That's an AM.
That would stop AM.
Yeah, they're gonna ban TB. So, to me, the more standard meta hard carry counter picks is the TB, the Morphling. But we'll see if they have anything else crazy in mind. As Batrider is picked up for Team Empire, it's kind of just a space creaty off-laner, I would want to say. At the same time, they don't really have any obvious mid out of their cores, but that's the beauty of the Lich. We saw already, you can put a Lich mid with anyone, and the lane should go well. Lich AM used to be a mid-dual lane that was played all the time, in fact, so could just be the case here.
Void does okay versus Batrider. To double down on that pickup.
Yeah, I guess right now you don't have any good laner versus Bat, so maybe that's a consideration with this last pick. We'll see.
Can you Broodmother this game? You only have Batrider to deal with, but it's
it seems Broods are. Yeah, I feel like Brood's almost a dying breed at this point with all the nerfs that hero keeps on getting.
Troll's still good as well.
Oh yeah, that's actually a very strong laner. But they go Void. The initial idea you suggested.
Oh wait, no, that's the SF noise.
Oh, yeah.
What is the noise that Void makes when he taunts? He makes some sounds. I'm sure Ox will play it for us. Yeah. We'll hear it.
Yeah, let's wait and see. So yeah, I mean, great direct counter to both AM Weaver, lockdown against elusive heroes, one of the best counters in the game to Weaver, and lanes well against the Bat, like you mentioned. Time dilation, just stopping him spamming the sticky napalm, slowing him, and overall just feels like a decent hero for them. It does seem maybe like their lanes could be a bit tough. They're against the Lich dual lane. They haven't got the... I mean, they've got Ogre, but Pugna is not really known to be a dominant lane support necessarily.
So this Pugna's just going to be like a Skywrath mage?
To
Is that
spam
what he's going to
people.
be? He just kind of like runs in a lane and blasts you and right-clicks you?
Or is he going to go decrep and just mess with last hits even?
Yeah.
That could be possible. Go wherever the aim goes, maybe, but... I think if this game one's anything to go by, maybe that like Lich dual lane mid, and then the Ogre has to go there because the Lich is there.
Yeah.
At which point you're dual laning against a Lich, so you're losing so much experience, but you may just have to. Otherwise, someone like Alina is getting spammed by Frostblast, and you're not going to have a good lane if that's the case.
Do you think Tusk helps out the Weaver or the Batrider? Because if he helps out the Weaver and it's an Axe solo lane, they could really mess with the Axe. But at the same time, I don't think Batrider would be opposed to having the extra help.
Yeah, I want to say you'd maybe start with the Batrider, like with the Ice Shroud block, and then be open to like a rotation down a Weaver's lane. But we'll see, because at some point, I imagine the Void is just going to be unkillable in lane, unless he's using Time Walk in silly ways and playing too aggressive. You theoretically just can't kill him, so maybe you secure that lane a bit for Batrider, get him some early levels, and then fall back and just...
Maybe the best matchup is trying to put Weaver Tusk against the Void, and then the Bat one-on-one against the Axe.
Yeah, that's actually... there's definitely some lane swaps you can do that give you some more favorable matchups here.
it feels like Empire have more opportunities for their laning phase to go well. Getting the right matchups. Yeah. So, Odium definitely has a lineup that hits a very strong mid game because of the heroes on the side of Empire that may not hit their timings or don't have a timing in the mid game at all, like Animage does. Void is a hard carry that comes in and at least has a really big team fight winning spell for you every once in a while. So he can actually come in, win something. Animage can't really do that so much, so they're going to be playing a lot of 4 versus 5. But if you look at their heroes, both Batrider and Weaver have prerequisites, right? They have to get certain items both for their effective in team fights. So if this laning phase doesn't go well, then they could just easily get run over by Odium going mid game.
Yeah. Well, you guys will be hopping into the game. There we go. None of this nonsense. As Empire and Odium face off in the Game 3 decider between these two teams. Chappie's Shikuchi himself up top to get down an early lane ward, as it does look like he is just going to be playing the safe lane. And no... How are we looking at lane swaps? Batrider is going... Oh, is he going mid? He's standing mid for now. He's sitting next... It looks like him and... They want to make sure they get those good lane matchups. Like, I feel like the only reason these two are sitting next to each other is to wait and see what the lanes are going to be.
It's exactly what they're doing.
Slayer sees him. He's actually pinging them out. Look, he got vision of them, I believe.
They're doing the sit mid, body block the creeps, and run to the waves. Run to whatever side lane. Because you can block the creeps a little bit and run to a side lane, and you actually won't miss any CS, I believe.
They definitely want that Batrider versus Axe, I feel, and Weaver is going to be Shikuchiing down bottom. So Empire will get those slightly more favorable matchups. I think they just send the Anti-Mage Lich mid, not really caring who they're against, but expecting the Lina, which is going to be a good lane for them. And all across the board, this is going to be good, assuming those matchups stay the same. But Odium, I think, recognizing what's going on, are like, we got to swap. We can't have these lanes. We need our Axe in a favorable matchup, so they're doing some swaps of their own. And Weaver's also swapping back up top. Both teams...
Chappie's happy he didn't actually make that much progression down to that bottom lane. He's like, okay, I'll stick back to top.
What happens when Void sees Weaver top? Does he's turning back? He's turning back! Oh my god, this is hilarious. Oh, you guys haven't seen it yet, but you'll see in a second. So Void, they see the Weaver show up top and they're like, oh crap. Void's like, I was going top, now I got to go back bottom. And the change up this time is Axe actually TPs to lane. So using that TP, not scouted out by the Dire side, although theoretically could be. He instantly rebuys one, I imagine partly to hide the fact that he TP'd to lane. Because if your opponents know you TP to lane, they're just going to match you. They're going to TP in, well, all of a sudden your TP's on cooldown and you're stuck.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if... Like, they can't... They have to know that there's no way Axe... Because he showed at bottom lane at some point. There's no way he made it up to this top lane that quickly,
I don't think he made it all the way to bottom. He only made it like halfway through the jungle, I want to say. He didn't actually make the full trip and reveal himself in bottom. I actually think he... By buying another TP scroll, he may have hidden the fact he TP'd to lane.
Damn, they did it.
Well, it's Odium with the perhaps psychological win at this point, with getting the lanes they prefer. The Void versus the Bat, the Axe versus the Weaver. It is still going to be a tough mid lane for them, but Lina so far has done just fine. They've got the Ogre there. It's the dual lane, and this Ogre versus Lich mid coming out from the 5 positions has currently secured Lina a great early game start.
Yeah, and it's not like I think the supports on the side of Odium really benefit from the solo experience that they got, as opposed to the Empire supports, right? Whenever you rotate these cores back and forth, it's the supports who end up winning out. And a level 2 Pugna, like level 3 early on Pugna, super powerful and will be able to win that lane against the Batrider.
Yep. Well, mid lane's been concentrated around top lane. Odium, though, despite getting the lanes they wanted, it's still this Weaver Tusk dual lane that has a lot of killing potential, and they show it there, bringing down the Axe, who kind of chose this lane and has found himself in tough spot. The second he sees Axe TP back to lane, he's out of there, actually. That's a kind of clever play. Now they can get the lanes they want on Empire's side, and while Void could TP top, Axe, he can't. He's stuck. He has no TP available to him.
Maybe Pugna can still win this lane for the Void, though, because he's level 3.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just dies in the process of trying to do so. Slayer's just going to reset.
Yep. Reset. Back at bottom, a lot of exchanges happening between the two sides. Nice two-man snowball. Can they bring down Lil here? Shad's still down, but Lil's just going to hold his ground and will be brought down by the Tusk. So Weaver, despite TPing into the lane he perhaps preferred, is still getting harassed down quite a bit. Chappie isn't going to have the easiest time necessarily.
Good read by Chappie, though, to walk out of that snowball afterwards and just let the Tusk finish off Lil. Yeah. He would have taken, because that's you will lose your lane if you take too much damage trying to kill a support. Just because, like, you don't have the regen at that point in time. You can't use the courier constantly to ferry out salves and stuff to your own lane. So good on him to do that. Supports are a little bit more free to suicide in for kills because, as we saw from Slayer, they can just go run at tier 2s and die.
It's been a lot of brawling and just spells being spammed out. The CS is all pretty low across the board. Considering we're 4 minutes in, no one's getting more than 4 CS out of a possible 8 per minute. Other than maybe the Lina, who's a slightly bit further ahead, particularly in the deny department.
GoDz does a good job. He grabs the creep wave, pulls it around behind his tier 1 tower. This is kind of the shenanigans that you have to do in these awkward 1v1s.
Yeah. If you have a tough matchup and you don't want to lose out, go for that kind of a play.
His next step is buying a TP scroll and then just trying to cut creep waves at a certain point. If the Batrider ever challenges you enough to get sticky napalm 3 or 4, then you could just TP back to your tower.
His lane's going to get a whole lot harder. Bat's getting more levels and has a bottle and immediately refills it with a bounty rune. So if you want to win your side lanes, you buy bottle and you make sure you get those 5-minute bounty runes for the free refill, and a quick 6 charges gets used. He's still got a shrine to fall back to, so Miposhka kind of has endless sustain for this top lane at this point.
CS-wise, that mid lane matchup, 25-12 for Naive. Doing a great job, considering the fact that I saw him get super low against the double damage Lich and pushed out a lane and everything.
Meanwhile, Anti-Mage is struggling.
Yeah.
He has not quite had the success I imagine Empire thought he would have here, given the Ogre's presence, and even just the synergy between these two with the chain stun potential has made this lane a whole lot harder for Anti-Mage.
Dragon Slave, mid lane, they are trying to go on to Maiden here.
I like this. So the second they go on Maiden, Anti-Mage just blinks in on top of Lina. Like, they use the Fire Blast into LSA, and AM's like, well, you have no LSA, I'm going to blink on top of you, and I win that right-click battle.
Holy cow! I can't believe Maiden just did that.
Well,
turning around
gets the
and
kill.
Getting the Frost Blast, that was a baller move.
Yeah, before he goes down here, Hasted Ogre going to zoom his way out of there, but killing the Lina there. That's, I think, happy news for Empire, who killed the enemy mid, keep AM alive. He is still chewing through a lot of regen and also just not farming particularly well. This has not been a great start to his game. I don't know how much longer he wants to stick out this mid lane, but it just feels like it's not really working for him at this point.
Batrider is very easily top CS, but I keep on going back to GoDz to see what kind of things he does to deal with this Batrider matchup, and he's doing like all the little tricks you can as an offlaner. He's cutting behind creep waves when possible. He's pulling those creeps. He's pulling the creeps into the easy camp to get the lane to push into him, and then he goes and jungles his own off lane until it pushes into his tower, so he's safe from the Batrider in a very long lane. Like, there's a lot of little stuff he's doing right here and making this 1v1 look good. Yeah,
and jungling efficiently too. He gets back there to stack it. He's not just, farming it once, wait to respawn, farm it again. It's like, well, I'm an Axe, let's play the efficient game. He's maxed out his third spell. Something you see Axes do only if they're going to play a more passive state and not pressure the lane, which he just can't. He's got this lane mismatch, so he understands how to play it, and really feels like he's actually a half level ahead of Batrider, despite the matchup.
And then the bottom lane is being won by Empire still, but I think
it's not the shopkeeper.
We've
got new bookies. It's a group of them. The pots and pans just make it.
Dude, I love how the one kobold just downs his drink. That you can tell that man is very fond of whatever alcoholic beverage he's consuming.
Back in mid. Ooh, Axe mistimes the ulti. We'll still get the kill, but doesn't get that movement speed burst to reduce some of the damage. And actually, it's Lina in some trouble here. Kuman wants to follow for this kill, but in trying to kill the bug, he actually ends up dying himself. Perhaps should have just kept on running into his tower there. Although another anti-mage blink likely would have been enough to get the kill regardless.
Did you see that? If he got the Culling Blade, maybe Lina doesn't die, but also he would have killed the anti-mage there because it would have refreshed the cooldown.
Very true.
That was sick though. If you saw GoDz pump faked his call to force Weaver into time-lapsing and then caught him after the time-lapse.
Nice. Very, very nice. But not so nice for Odium is the fact this game is kind of swung against them over the last few minutes. The initial early game edge they kind of had in some of these lanes has been taken away. The anti-mage actually looking, you know, in a much more stable place all of a sudden. Hasn't got anything crazy or fancy in terms of his items, but still looking like he'll be competitive. We'll see how and where the Void comes into play, though. He did use his first Chronosphere. I don't think we saw that one.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah. I don't even think they got a kill out of it, because that would have popped up. I don't think we missed anything there, but maybe just a defensive one, or maybe he thought he had a kill and he didn't actually pick one up. Either way, he's farming towards a Mask of Madness, it looks like. Just the treads for now, 2-1-2 build, nothing crazy. Standard Void things.
10-minute bounty runes coming up.
Yeah, and that's something I imagine both teams will be eyeing off here. Void down in the bottom lane, looking to secure some up top. A lot more heroes grouping together to try and force a fight around that top one, where the Bat Rider would love to refill his bottle and find some kills, and he's found a kill. He won't get the bounty rune on the enemy side, but he will secure his own. So, not a bad exchange in the end for
regen rune
Team
from
Empire.
Maposhka's Bat Rider.
That's extra value. And then he gets the bounty as well, but the regen rune, the bit more important one. It's going to be happy to really farm and push out this lane, I imagine.
Did he get Blink Dagger already? Or
no, I don't
drums?
think so. He was saving up a lot of money. I was going to kind of ask what he might get, and it will be a drums.
Yeah, that's much better for him. He doesn't need that hard blink initiation in this game. Like, the only hero that can kind of evade him is Void, and drums actually lets you catch him anyway, because he can't jump far enough out.
Kind of forces his playstyle where, you know, you want to be smoking and ganking all the time when you have blink, whereas right now I think he's actually fine just playing this, farm the jungle and shove out lanes.
Yeah, like keep the X down as much as possible.
Yep. Axe, though, is going to go for the fast blink, and I think prioritizing, you know, having some kind of way to initiate for the Lina to teamfight around this Void Chronosphere, who is maybe looking for a rotation here. Void has swung towards the middle lane. He's on the move. We'll see what he can actually get here. I'm sure he would love to find an anti-mage kill, knowing that this is the hero that can really turn this game against them, but it doesn't really connect. So instead, just going to go for the tier 1 tower.
What's cool about this support Pugna is that Odium doesn't actually have great tower hitters, but that's all covered up by a support.
They're going to look to defend this one. The Ice Shots blocks 2 in here. The Chain Frost going to go bouncing around as well. Ox and Naive look like they're in all sorts of trouble. Anti-Mage, he blinked in. It wasn't even really needed for the kill. Ox still in some trouble in full retreat. They've taken out 3. Can they get Ox as well? He time walks away. Still has a Chronosphere if they go chasing and diving too far and too hard. But even without that kill on the Void, it is a big Empire victory.
Yeah, certainly in first introduction of that Blink Dagger with the, Bat Rider with the drums.
Yep, he just TPs right in and goes charging forward.
And what I love about this is that he, like the Bat Rider can have this kind of continual impact as well with this kind of stat item. He doesn't need Lasso to have an impact in lanes, though. Does look like with GoDz's Blink Dagger, they're going to try and make their first play here at bottom.
Yeah, that's going to likely catch him by surprise. The nighttime vision not working in his favor. Blink call. And Maposhka misses the call again. GoDz having some issues with that ultimate there. The one charges catching him by surprise. He will still survive underneath the tower as they do get that kill in the end. But this is all in all okay for Empire. It's a blink reveal. It's not an anti-mage going down. He's still farming somewhere on the map, as is the Weaver up top. So it does feel like an exchange that's not too costly.
Should be. Odium, I guess I'm not that surprised that they're down by 3K.
Isn't that really bad considering there's an AM on the other side, though?
It is a little bit bad for sure, but I do think their lineup, it's just Ox who's kind of, is he underfarmed net worth wise? Yeah, he's definitely underfarmed. He doesn't have the Mask of Madness yet. They will, again, I still think they're going to hit like a really good timing, about 25 minutes, but the timing has been slowed down a lot just because the Void is not going to want to join them for team fights. He's not really going to want to go out of his way to Chronosphere stuff because he still like needs to get his Mask of Madness and then utilize that Mask of Madness to go farming jungle. So it's mostly going to be up to this Axe. GoDz needs to start carrying the game now. He's not actually going to go back for the Vanguard at all. He's going to go straight for the Blade Mail, which is a great choice against, it's very good against the Weaver as well as the Animage, and it's even powerful against the Bat Rider.
Yeah. And we're kind of seeing Odium kind of balance things out a little bit here. The gold lead is kind of actually shrinking a little bit. It went from 3K, now we're down to about 1K with Lil sniping a tower in the mid lane. That was actually deniable. So does feel like this game is stabilizing a bit more now with the playmaking potential coming up from the back. Close to the bounty runes again. It seems like these fights always seem to happen around those times. He's going to commit the Chronosphere, looking for Miposhka here on the Bat Rider. Can he stay alive on the Bat? It sure as hell looks like it. They don't really commit enough resources to kill him. And once again, it's the Lina Naive who's just completely isolated, brought down. It's a double kill for Kuman on the Anti-Mage. That is bad news bears for Team Odium. As Kuman's not done, he's looking for another one. He doesn't get the last hit on that one, but it's still a 3-for-1 trade so far. They're not done. They're looking for more. Miposhka, can he chase down Lil on the Pugnet? Sure as hell looks like it. Kuman would love to get the last hit on another kill, and they've actually taken out GoDz as well. It's a full team wipe. They took out all 5. And I believe Anti-Mage got, what, 3 of those kills?
Really poorly played by Odium in a couple marks. First of all, the Anti-Mage blinked into the Axe under neutrals. And GoDz didn't react fast enough to be able to get the call initially, so it got the call instead next to the Shrine. And then on top of that, it then just starts kind of a Shrine fight where Faceless Void gets this Chronosphere on the Bat Rider, but there's no Lina close enough to be able to follow that up. There's only the Pugna. They need the Lina. They need the Lina badly because the stat build from the Bat Rider means that they have to get the full arsenal of Lina spells to be able to bring him down. So they end up chronoing a hero that had no impact whatsoever.
Yeah.
Bat Rider was still going to be able to run at them.
And they just flat out don't kill him. That's,
yeah.
If you're going to use that chrono, you need to be able to, on a single target at this stage, you have to make sure they get bursted and die during it. But without the Mask of Madness, and partly because he's underfarmed, that is not the case. He now completes it 16 minutes in, but this just feels like it's coming up a little bit too late. As Empire going to start getting to work on some towers. So they suddenly go back to a 5K gold lead. It was 3K lead, down to 1, now back up to 5 off of one big fight. 16 kills to 4. Empire are going to maybe see their T1 top tower go down, but not without a fight. Here they go. They go rotating in the blink on Miposhka. A new fresh pickup. He's getting a lot of damage from the life drain, but he survives through it. He stays alive. He dodges the Axe call as well. The snowball's there on top of that. Can Axe get the ultimate? Doesn't look like it. The kiting is there. Maiden. Oh, he dies to the Pugna Ward. He got a bit too greedy there. He knew he had to kite the Axe to stop the ultimate. Ultimately, he doesn't give Axe the kill. And it's another good fight for Empire.
I just had to double check the cooldown of Lich Chain Frost because we've seen Lich a couple times today, and it feels like the Chain Frosts have always been effective, and they've always been up in these team fights. It is a 100-second cooldown, but I don't know how these Chain Frosts are being so effective in these games.
It feels...
Why Miposhka? Miposhka, why? That support kill is not worth anything. Your death, however,
it's worth something.
And Kuman's death, however, how did that happen?
Yeah, actually, good. Wait, did AM died mid-tier 1?
Had it got Laguna Blade.
Yeah, death summary. Let's see. 1.2k magic. Yeah, Laguna Blade, Pugna Blast, probably with a decrep. Surprised Lina must have stunned from trees or from invis or something. Maybe had invis rune. Not sure.
That was quite a wealth of gold that Odium just picked up. It gets them to their mid-game items a lot faster. Naive is going to grab his Huel Scepter now.
I mean, the top kill, like, yeah, shouldn't happen. Kind of sloppy, but the AM dying is the really high-impact kill at this stage.
For sure.
losing him. He's gone for this Vanguard build. I like it. Just buys him some more time to be able to fight and also farm and not be afraid of getting ganked and brought down. It's like you see this AM farming with a Vanguard and you're just like, well, I can't really gank him or kill him. So you just let him keep on farming.
Smoke time for Empire.
What are they going to find? This Batrider Blink we saw last time at top, how impactful it can be. Is it going to be the same thing here? It is daytime, so they've got pretty good vision. They instantly blink in. They don't want to lasso the Ogre. They're going to find a different target instead. Looks like they're not even going to need the lasso. Lil gets helped out by the Chronosphere. It catches all three, and Lil, somehow still alive in the middle of all this, has the Flame Break hit him, but with the life drain, he should be just fine. And they actually see Odium take 2 kills, chasing for more. They won't get more, at least not right away, but they somehow repel Empire, who are smoked up in their jungle.
That was really cool, because I think Odium made the read off of that. You see that mid ward behind the tier 2? I think they made the read of that smoke. I'm not sure exactly where Empire smoked from. I'm presuming it's probably on their shrine area, which is very common. So I think they just saw multiple heroes rotate into that shrine area, saw one of them had a smoke, and made the read that they were smoking into that jungle and just played behind their Faceless Void.
Very good fast reaction from Tusk. I believe he saw that gank coming because he instantly snowballs to save the Anti-Mage from the Blade Mail, turns it around on the Axe with the snowball, and Anti-Mage going to clean up here. So very back and forth game. It's been Empire with a kind of consistent lead, but the size of that lead and the state of the game has gone back and forth over the last 3 or 4 minutes.
And a fast rotation to top.
Yeah.
They saw the Pugna on the creep wave, so they're going to catch Lil as well. They're not letting any split pushing happen here.
Yep. Lil's managed to get a decent chunk of farm on his Pugna, but pay the price for a bit too much greed up in the top lane. So things continue to look decent for Empire. By no means convincingly ahead. Definitely the closest of the 3 games. The last 2 ending at 24 minutes, so we've already made it to 20 minutes without one team looking like they're about to win it. So definitely a more evenly fought battle here. The big question still remains, is there going to be anti-mage solutions?
They do have the Shadow Blade being picked up by Ox very soon. They can start going hunting for Weaver or Animage. Any kill is, either one of those kills is acceptable because they don't necessarily have to worry a ton about Animage late game just because they've got the Faceless Void counter.
Yep, and that removes that snowball save, which we've seen just now being used against the Axe. It's not really the same case against the Void.
Right.
As far as saving versus Chrono, you're much more limited in your options. Weaver Axe. Could see that. We've seen that already today, but Chappie is playing that more one position, right-click damage Weaver. He's got Treads, Dragonlance, and a Maelstrom so far. He's going to Shikuchi into a Sentry Ward towards top lane as we see this smoke gank heading on up, and that'll be revealed in just a second. Shikuchi on in. They went looking for the Void, but he leaps away from the lasso, and it's top lane where, yeah, they lose the Weaver. Chainfrost goes bouncing out. In comes Kuma to clean up, though. They lose both Void and Ogre Magi, and the issue is Goes to use that Blink Call on the Weaver, which I think was a fine decision, but the fight was just so split up for them.
Not having their Void be the initiating force in a team fight, or having someone else start the fight so he can get the Chronosphere is super bad.
That Decrep nicely allowed the Axe actually blink out of the Ice Shards or he would have died, but instead it's going to be Pugna going down. As Kuman continues to clean up here, up to 10.8k net worth.
So in that situation, what they need to do is have the Ogre playing farther south, so he breaks smokes. They basically need like kind of a light semicircle around the Void and where the potential rotations are going to come from, because almost anybody can be initiated on except for the Void. Like that just guarantees a bad team fight.
It's this kind of awkward situation where he time walked away from the Batrider when he got blinked on, but it was in the direction away from his team.
Yeah.
If he goes towards his team where his Axe had just got a call on Weaver that ultimately kills the Weaver, I think he's in a position where, hey, he's fighting alongside his Axe, he gets off a good Chronosphere, and the fight looks very different. But still, Chronosphere is still up if they want to try and take a fight on the Odium side. I imagine they don't want to just sit back and necessarily let the Anti-Mage free farm, because he will out-farm this Void. And even if late game they have a Chronosphere to deal with Anti-Mage, if Anti-Mage is farmed enough with tanky items, he will not be killable in that Chronosphere.
Yeah, and Empire knows that Odium's looking for a fight with that Chronosphere. So that's why they play kind of passive as soon as Void backs up.
Nice Working for Odium, they found a Chronosphere just on a ledge, but they're also chasing down the poster on the side. GoDz gets the dunk, takes out one. Can they get more out of this one? Anti-Mage makes his appearance in the fight with the Mana Void. Doesn't get a kill immediately, does end up chasing down the Lina. Seiyu getting the kill for that one, 3 for 1 so far. GoDz needs a blink out, blinks to the low ground. Uh-oh, blinks into Seiyu on the Tusk, gets the call out, and Tusk is actually going to be brought down. GoDz still will get Shikuchi'd on through, as Chappie will get back to safety, but they lose the Anti-Mage being the big kill for Odium, who hold on. Very back and forth game.
That makes a great example of like why running into the Ogre is so bad for Empire. Like they legitimately saw that Void far in the mid lane and then disappeared. So they move over to the right-hand side of the map on the lane. They play the high ground. Ogre walks up there. They get an Ice Sharp block on him. They're like, oh, this is a free support pickup. But it actually just turns into the team fight that they were just looking to avoid. They were just looking to stay out of the hands of that Faceless Void and his ready Chronosphere. They just got baited by what they thought was a free Ogre pickoff. So now only a 2,000 gold lead for Empire. This game is beginning to slip out of their hands as the expected sort of mid-game, 20-25 minutes that Odium is hitting. We'll see what point does the AM really come online. Most of the time it's going to be Manta. I'm not convinced Manta's going to be enough for him here.
Yeah, it's tough. He's playing against double Shadow Blades. Both Void and Lina have ways to initiate on him with Disables, the Chronosphere, the LSA. And the Shadow Blade initiation makes it hard for him. He's also playing against Axe. The Manta, I mean, it's just your standard bread and butter AM item, but he needs some way to not get bursted. He's so reliant on Tusk. There's no item you can really get against these heroes. You're not going to go some Aeon Disc Anti-Mage. It's just not a build, but
it might just be like third item heart or something.
I wouldn't blame him for an approach like that. I think staying alive is ultimately the most important thing for him right now, because his Mana Void can do a lot of damage against heroes like Lina and Pugna.
If he continues down the typical anti-mage build where you're getting Basher and Butterfly and such, you are depending a lot on your team to find the initiation for you always. And trusting yourself that you're going to find the right areas of the map and not get caught by Void or Axe. Or maybe even Lina. Depends if Lina gets the Silver Edge.
Once again, it is Odium making plays, making moves around the map. They're invading the spawn side. They see Anti-Mage down there for a smaller bit of time. They're like, let's just go running, charging right at him. Lina with the Shadow Blade doesn't actually end up catching Seiyu, who blinks away. Shadow Blade's very threatening and make Anti-Mage's life that much more difficult here. Even should he complete a Manta style, he's really got to respect the killing potential of both Ox and Naive.
Linken's for everyone. Linken's for Ox, Linken's for Lina. Everyone wants to be able to avoid the Axe initiation. I would even suggest, not Linken's, but if I was Lil, I would have gone Lotus Orb for my team. Instead, he considers Max Daggins, just going to go one Daggin and now a Blink Dagger, which is also really cool just because the way that Decrepify can save some of his allies.
See, game seems like slowed down a bit for both sides, particularly for Empire, who do not really want to be fighting into this Aegis that Odium just got on Lina. So it's really up to Odium to make those moves. And the second they show in a lane to make some plays happen, Empire's going to be split pushing the other side of the map. That's just the nature of fighting into this Aegis right now, is that they have no interest in team fighting until Aegis expires, and they probably pick up another item or two on some of these key heroes of theirs. Void instantly TP's down bottom. They show a lot of heroes top, and then Void just TP's down here by himself, going for a Shadow Blade search around. What can he find, though?
Well, there's Samantha for the Animage, so if they do manage to get a lasso on somebody, he blinks in, Mantas. Just a couple of seconds is all it takes to burn somebody's mana entirely and mana void them. That is a kill on almost anybody. If you look at the Void, though, he's pretty tanky thanks to the Ultimate Orb that he picked up first on his way to Linken's. 1,700 HP. So it goes to show like how much commitment Empire are going to need to make on whatever target they lasso.
This Anti-Mage actually, I don't feel like I normally see this. Went for the Blink cast range at level 15. Is this thing you've been seeing on Anti-Mages?
Maybe because of the... You do it against Bloodseeker, but maybe you also do it against Void.
Yeah.
Because of the time lock. Or, sorry, not time lock.
Dilation.
Time dilation. Yeah. So you only have like one good blink to work with.
Yeah, and the way he's playing around the map, avoiding these fights, it just helps him perhaps stay away from the Void Chronosphere a bit more. But yeah. See Tusk going on here. Is there a blink out? Nope. We'll instantly get popped as he comes out of the snowball, and that may be enough to send Odium down the mid lane, looking for that tier 2 tower. Empire, despite maintaining some semblance of a lead for some time, haven't really been able to turn it into too much more. In fact, they've been the ones on the back foot ever since maybe 5 or 6 minutes ago. Around that Aegis being picked up, it just kind of made them feel a bit flat. They're not really playing aggressive on the map or getting much done right now.
That's a classic. You try and blink on the Batrider at the same time as Batrider blinks on someone else.
Yeah.
So they miss their initiation and will lose their Ogre. Of course, Ogre is the least important hero. He was still worth 247 gold for the Chappie.
You need to be careful on the Odium side, as Aegis will be expiring fairly soon. They get a tier 2 tower, but you could say this game was such that they were never going to be pushing high ground with that Aegis. It was not even on their mind. Void just not a high ground pushing hero. They're playing for team fights, they're playing for pickoffs, and playing for those next couple of big items that will allow them to just deal with Anti-Mage and Weaver a whole lot better.
Yeah, and again, the support Pugna has already gotten them the few towers you really need in a Faceless Void lineup. You just want to take some of the outer tier 1s and maybe a tier 2, but...
So Weaver did end up going for the Ag Scepter. Went for the right-click items to start with, went back for an Ags, and, you know, I think they made the call, like, we can't save AM in Chronosphere using Snowball, so let's get an Ag Scepter. And let's see if that'll work.
Can he save himself, though?
Chronosphere is the... I mean, Ox does not have the damage by himself. GoDz is there on top, and after the time-lapse gets the call, I think whether it was after or before it would have been enough, and yeah, with the Sentry Ward, they can get him as he tries to retreat there.
That was a lot of time locks on his after the time-lapse. Faceless Void just kept bashing him over and over. Speaking of bashing, our Animage is completing his basher now.
Okay. I don't mind this. I feel like he needs to be a bit of, like, his team kind of, other than the Batrider, lack that initiation and catch. Like, Weaver's not going to provide it for you, so AM is going to be his own catch. He's going to be able to blink on anyone, abyssal them, and try and burst them down, except for maybe some of these Lincoln's carriers, which is actually going to be several, as both Void and Lina have one queued up. Void with one he's actually completed already.
Yeah, if you focus on survivability, 1, you probably still die, and 2, you don't have much of an offensive impact in this game. This game's just going to be all about initiation anyway. Whether or not they can avoid a good Chronosphere, or maybe even kill the Void first, or kill the damage dealers initially, if like AM can just get on top of a Lina or a Pugna, blow them up thanks to a bash.
The current game is about back to even. Not much separating the two teams in terms of gold, and Dota Plus even says the win rate. 49% Radiant, 51% Dire. Very even Stevens kind of game as fight is brewing in this top lane. Empire are rotating on in here. Kuman with the double damage really wants to try and take this one. Runs instantly into Ox. Will take out the Void. Even if that's all they get, they'll be very happy with that one. A big kill for Empire, who've been forced to play on the back foot for quite some time because of this Aegis.
What are they going to use their space to be able to do?
Maybe just to farm a bit more, push out some of these lanes, but at the same time, that's a dead Void, so your Anti-Mage is going to feel a whole lot freer to do whatever he wants as a result of that pickoff.
Yeah, I was wondering whether, like, is the mid-tier 2 tower or is the off-lane tier 1 and maybe the tier 2 more important? When it comes to map control, like, the more you open up the map, the better AM is going to be.
Sighing off this mid-tier 2 as the blink call attempt isn't going to latch. Is there going to be a snowball save? Time-lapse is there. That's why they weren't actually using the snowball initially. Now the snowball comes in. Gives AM the time and space to blink out of there. They really cut that one close, I feel, for the AM. They'll lose the Tusk on the retreat, but that looked kind of risky, the way Anti-Mage is just sitting there and let himself get cold, but obviously did have 2 saves behind him.
Did you see how he preemptively Abyssal Blade the axe?
Yeah.
That
He
was,
got on the first blink in.
that was pretty cool. It was like they had so many like cool toys to play with. They're like, oh, he's focusing on preemptively getting the Abyssal Blade, and they have this time-lapse weaver and stuff. They want to use it. They want to basically show it off, but it doesn't mean strategically that was like the best move for them to go for, right? We're risking the AM's life and trying to take a tier 2 that they actually didn't give up, and then they give up the Tusk life as well. Now they're hero down.
It probably works a lot better if he burns enough mana such that Axe can't call after the Abyssal, but he wasn't able to do that. Axe was able to still get the call off.
And this is around the time that Roshan is potentially spawning as well. So it's really important you don't lose any heroes right now and that you just control the Roshan pit. You don't give up map control.
Smoke up from Odium, right, as they get back and reset, but it's also Empire playing very defensively, knowing that Roshan is back up and enemy forces are assembling around this middle lane. So the D-Ward does reveal exactly where Odium are and what they're up to. It seems like for Empire, it's let's play around this Roshan pit but not force things too heavily on their terms. Let's force them on our own terms, so they're going to smoke up on this high ground and look to start a fight of their own with the Batrider Lasso.
You should always make sure there's a hero between Void and where these heroes could be coming from.
Yep. Even with the Lincoln Sphere, it still does not make it safe for him. As the smoke is going to find Empire on the low ground. Makes it a bit harder to initiate from down here. But Batrider gets some vision flying on up. It's just an Ogre. It's that kind of that gap hero. He honors the smoke. He sets up for a Chronosphere on a 2. Seiyu goes blinking into this one. I don't know about that blinking into the Chronosphere. I imagine he tried to blink to the side for the snowball save. Poshka still barely alive, flying over the trees with the lasso. He's going to set up and helps bring down Ox. That's a dead Void. They get the Ogre to follow it up, and chasing for more is the Antimate with that blink cast range. Catches up to GoDz with the Yule Scepter as well from his teammate. There'll be a dead Axe here who has a gem, loses it, and sets up for a potential Roshan, which somehow has not respawned just yet. It's going to be a very long Rosh respawn. Sigil going to be hovering over the pit to scout it out, which I believe will last long enough to see Rosh come back to life. Oh no, it just expired.
I feel like Naive is a little responsible for the loss of that team fight. First of all, he LSAs well before the Chronosphere is actually down, but I think more importantly, Naive needs to follow up on this Chronosphere and lay damage into whatever target Void's going for. And most of the time, that's going to be the Batrider, because for him, that's the biggest threat of Lockdown. They kill the Batrider, there's no lasso, then Void comes into that team fight. There's no way like Snowball Walrus Punch is going to chain stun you to death, right? So Void can actively challenge heroes from there. It's just like he just can't get lassoed, first things first. And that's why he immediately goes for the Batrider. Just needs his team to help him in that regard. And even just as little as like Naive running up to the high ground and Laguna blading the Batrider is going to be good enough for you to win that.
Well, off of that team fight, Empire in the Roshan pit, knowing there's no Chronosphere to worry about. And they also see heroes on the map, including the Pugn down bottom. So they get themselves an Aegis on Kuman. And set themselves up with a cheese as well onto Chappie's Weaver.
Lil doing a little bit of backdooring of this tier 2. He pushes the creeps into the tower, and then from this side area gets damage on the tower without being spotted. Now
They're hunting for him, though.
It does look like they're going to start hunting for him.
Yeah, AM knows he's there and actually went blinking in after him. Didn't find him, but nope, Tusk will. As AM blinks on over with the Abyssal Blade, and Lil will pay for his cheekiness. They trip back to the fountain.
Meanwhile, Chappie got a tower.
I was like, what's this Anti-Mage Mask of Madness? So he buys a Mask of Madness, but it's for the 2 components. It will be a Satanic Butterfly, or a Satanic MKB it looks like, from Anti-Mage. This is the same idea we saw earlier today, the Satanic against the Axe, just because the Blade Mail Call gets you down low. It was a Troll Warlord that game going for it.
Right.
And just heal yourself back up. Similar idea to the Heart of Tarask build, where you just get super tanky. So top lane, both teams kind of converging around here. It is dire side with an Aegis and Cheese, though, making this a very difficult fight for Odium to take, I imagine. And they've also lost the Pugger, so they're doing this 4v5. Ox goes in with the Chronosphere, trying to focus Chappie. Will he get the bashes? Is there going to be a time-lapse? He pops the Cheese. He knows he can't time-lapse. Chappie's still low. He's not going to get the dunk, and he gets the time-lapse out. Weaver, he's still alive thanks to the snowball. Somehow surviving through it all. Naive now getting burned down, cooked to a crisp as Chappie gets the last hit on that one. Oh boy, somehow Chappie stays alive through it all. He goes back to base with the TP, buys a salve, refills his bottle. He's getting himself healed back up. Everything about that sequence of plays was just so well done by Empire, even though it looked like it was starting to go in Odium's favor.
Yeah, I can't believe they started that fight with the Animate so far away. The Batright trying to set up on the side of the map and running into the Axe. I thought that was going to be the start of a really bad fight, but the Cheese going off just in time, and then the missed Culling Blade as well from Ghostic on the second life of the Weaver, basically, after he popped his Cheese. Those were both disastrous outcomes.
Weaver just stays alive for so long, and he's going to get even harder to kill now. He completes a Skadi, so his survivability skyrockets as they're pushing high ground. There's no Void ultimate, there's 2 heroes dead. These heroes may have to start considering using these buybacks that they both have, but for now, they're just going to watch these racks fall, unless they're going to commit those, and doesn't feel like there's any interest in doing so. Perhaps just focusing on the split push in both mid and bottom, recognizing they don't have a Chronosphere, and there's a tier 2 tower mid, so Empire can't just go and get a second lane mid, they'd have to go all the way down bottom.
It is like a weird ratio of survivability to damage on this Weaver. Like, most Weavers don't have an Aghanim Scepter and a Scotty. Most of them have nullifiers and MKBs and Desolators and these sort of items, which means the Axe Blink Blade Mail call is really effective against them. But with this sort of stat-focused build that doesn't actually output tons of damage and has this just purely stat-focused Aghanim Scepter that just gives him a decent amount of HP, like, it's actually really tough for Void as well as especially this Axe Call Blade Mail to be able to do enough. So things are getting a little rough for Odium. I really thought that they would have superior team fight because of the Chronosphere against the Animage as well as the Weaver, but they don't seem to have enough damage to put into it. And so many times Ox has died after Chronospheering and thinking that's going to be one team fight that he only has the Mask of Madness still. He does not have a damage item yet.
That is concerning. His current farm he's half of the net worth of AM, and I think that's where, despite the Void being a nice pickup for control against both AM and Weaver, he's not ideal in terms of being able to keep up in farm. You really need to play for that mid-game 30-35 minute timing where you just win those team fights, because otherwise, if this game drags and you're playing a slow-paced game, you will be out-farmed, you will be out-carried. Bottom lane, here go Team Empire. They want to push and force the high ground. The initial Blink Axe call is there. The Snowball, once again, being used defensively. Nice Chronosphere comes in, catches Sayu on the Tusk, as well as Kuman. Can they bring down either of these two? It doesn't look like a Void's already backing off. He doesn't even go for the kill on the Tusk in the end, knowing there's a Weaver time-lapse. They do pop the Aegis here, but Kuman not afraid. He instantly goes blinking in on respawn. Lil not the best target for a Mana Void. Still has plenty of mana to play around. There's another Blink call. Is there? Batrider in a bit too deep. The Snowball save isn't going to be there in time. And say you're going to be pressed back. Batrider actually going to buy back to try and make sure they can get this bottom lane of racks. This will be a second full lane of racks if they can get this, and it sure as hell looks like it. Both Ogre and Lina buying back on the Odium side. Can they keep this bottom set alive? It's not the melee racks they're keeping alive, and the range racks just not as valuable. They'd love a kill on the Anti-Mage if they can get it, but there's a time-lapse there. Weaver just sitting back, helping out his team, and Kuman able to zone them back into the base, to the fountain. And if Empire can just get out here without casualties, they'll be very happy with where this game stands.
Yeah, there's no pursuit here from Odium with the Chronosphere down. Rough.
Very rough indeed. They got that Aegis so quickly at the start of the fight, it felt like it was okay for them, but committing the Chronosphere, and they just don't seem to have this constant damage throughout the fight.
Between the time-lapse as well as the Satanic, this early Satanic item, really working out for the Animage. Now he's going to have a Butterfly coming up, where Faces Void, he is kind of ahead in that regard, in that he was already going for MKB a long time ago. So he may still get the item that's going to be effective, but they have to catch the Weaver first, and that's why I was so sure that top lane fight where they run into the Batrider Weaver and they managed to get the Chronosphere on him, that was going to be a good one. They have to take out the time-lapse hero first, and then deal with the rest later.
Goodbye, Lil. Called out, split pushing again. Definitely, maybe been a few too many deaths on his hands as far as split pushing and committing too much, particularly as a support Weaver. This is maybe not what you'd kind of expect out of him, but also just an unconventional support to begin with. And it's not just him, it's Axe getting called out as well. He's going to instantly buy back knowing that they are going to run down the mid lane. Empire, they've taken the tier 2 already. They are looking to get the mega creeps, which will effectively be GG at this point. Even committing to the butterfly and anti-mage. Doesn't need boots at this point. Happy to just play without. Has the Mjolnir on him, has a time lapse to back him up, and at this point he just feels near unkillable.
I think Ghostic calls the Animage, and then Ox jumps forward and Chronosphere's the back line, hopefully grabbing the Weaver.
Okay.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
either have to follow-up initiative, like you have to have a 1-2 punch where you bait out the Weaver's positioning, or you like smoke wraparound.
They don't have any smokes coming out, at least not right now. They are looking to just defend their tier 3 mid the old-fashioned way. Just sitting behind it, throwing spells, clearing out what they can. Brought down fairly low, but not brought down completely, as Pugna will respawn. We'll see Empire dip back towards their side of the map, eyeing off Roshan, I can only imagine. It will respawn sometime in the next 3 minutes. The minimum respawn is 15 seconds from now.
It's been a rocky third day here for Empire, going to the third game in both their series today, and also getting stomped in 2 different games so far. They want to be able to secure this victory, secure that they move on against Odium, and just get the Aegis Cheese and Refresher Shard. The Refresher Shard for double time lapses sounds amazing.
Well, I'm not sure whether there's much Odium can do about that. Feels like they are stuck in their base, and Empire will just have free reign over this Roshan pit, and it's respawned incredibly fast. And Antimage has a DD. He'd actually bottled it up from earlier. He got the bottle, I believe, from Chappie or someone, and is just able to utilize those runes so effectively as a result. Doesn't save for a fight, but it was going to be expiring in the next minute or so anyways. And Refresher Shard, Aegis, everything AM could hope for. He actually backpacks his Battle Fury, basically saying, I'm done hitting creeps. I'm going to just go in mid, hit your buildings, and not care about having that cleave coming into this next fight. With DD still on, he may actually be able to reach the high ground with DD.
I was going to say the same thing. He did that so quickly, so efficiently. They could just go straight up. Okay.
Want to commit to it. There's creeps kind of near the base. There may still be backdoor protection here. See what the plan's going to be if he's going to go in for that tier 3 tower anytime soon. Even just getting the tower makes taking those racks so much easier, denying a lot of that radiant vision as he gets instantly hexed up on the high ground. No hard follow-up for him. The team wanting to fully commit to this one. There's going to be an instant Yules on the Axe Blink call. Great reactions coming in from Team Empire. Not much damage being dealt to Kuman. There's the Void initiation on the back lines. Catches out Lich with the other support as well as Tusk here. The time-lapse helping out Tusk stay alive. Snowball on forward. Ox being bounced around a little bit, but Kuman, he's in. He gets hexed up the second he goes blinking forward, though. He's in some trouble. He gets time-lapse back, though, and then he blinks right back in. He gets brought back to safety. He's just bouncing around the ping-pong ball as he ping-pongs his way through Odium space. He takes out in 3, make it 4, and that's surely got to be GG at this point. They call it. Team Empire have defeated Odium.
Great, really great awareness from the Weaver there to, like, he did not get baited in to his positioning. Like, everybody else thought, like, the Bat Rider kind of comes forward, he barely blinks before the Chronosphere comes down. The supports move forward as well, like they're going to try and get into this fight as the initiation happens, but the Weaver sits very far back in the far left hand, Shikuji's his way around the Chronosphere after it happens, and because he had the Refresher Shard, right? Like, that was the only possible way that Odium could win that fight is if they kill the Weaver and take rid of that double time lapse. So they're able to put one time lapse on the Tusk to be able to save his life. The second, he refreshes shards instantly. A little bit later, time lapses that Animage. Really, really well done by Team Empire. And Aghanim's, I think Aghanim's Weaver may need a bit of a cooldown nerf or something.
It's weird
really,
because it's not like a OP to the point where you just get it every game on Weaver, because it doesn't
because
an
the
upgrade.
hero itself isn't meant to go that pathway.
It doesn't synergize.
That's the only reason, right?
Yeah, with the way it's being played. But, I mean, Chappie, he's the one position player. This wasn't one of those 3 or 4 position weavers, and he gets to a point because they've got an anti-mage on their team. I mean, I guess you can't really say AM's not a 1 here, but he gets to a point where going in Ags, when he's normally like a 1 or a 2, becomes better than going damage output. That's kind of the crazy thing here.
For sure. Well done by Team Empire. They continue to show this really strong 4 Protect 1 style around the Kumin carries.
Yeah.
And then also, I think that Odium, they just didn't really team fight well around each other. There's a disconnect between what Ox is doing and what Naive is doing. There's a disconnect between like their initiations and such. Just not really there. But Ox and Naive just joined the team or are standing in or whatever. So I guess it's not too surprising that in the toughest of Dota games, things do fall apart a little bit for them.
Yep. You can see there the bracket and what's in store for the next 2 days, as there's only 2 days left in this Reshuffle Madness event. Empire advance. They're into the lower bracket round 3. They'll face off against Spirit or Final Tribe. I imagine most of these matches happening tomorrow. Not sure of the exact schedule as of yet, but probably looking at that winner bracket final and 2 lower bracket matches happening potentially tomorrow. And then the last best of 3 and best of 5 the day after. So 2 more days of action, as we'll see how things unravel. Do you think Empire can go far? They don't look super convincing. Like they've had 2 tough wins, but
yeah. I think they're going to lose to either Final Tribe or Team Spirit. They're both really good teams.
Yeah.
And then in turn, one of those teams might be able to beat Furzy if Furzy gets knocked down. I still have faith that Alliance is going to be the team that makes it through the upper bracket final.
Yeah. I mean, on paper, Alliance should be the favorites for the tournament as a whole, but
sure. Yeah.
There is some unpredictability with some of these teams like Furzy. TFT seems to be playing, in full strength now. They're looking a whole lot better the last week or so than they did during the major qualifiers where they fell short. So it is still an open playing field, and I don't think Alliance has reached that. Yeah, they qualified the major, but they're not that status where they seem unbeatable the way, like an OG did last year when they were playing. If OG in these European tournaments were just like, okay, well, easy win, we'll qualify for everything. But, Alliance is on the up and up, for sure. As are, I think, some of these other teams. Empire looking a lot more solid with a game plan with this new roster of theirs, and looking forward to seeing more of this. So that does it. You will not be back in tomorrow, unfortunately. We'll have to say goodbye to you, Cap.
Got other obligations.
That's okay. I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow, and Cap will be saying goodbye as we round off day 3 of the WePlay Reshuffle Madness. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you guys more later this week.